So this, we kind of have a lightweight viewer built into the CRM. It's not MeasureSquare 8, but I can click into each room, see what's going on in this room. Okay, looks like I have 150 feet of LVT there. And then we have also an orders section. And there's a lot more we can do with this diagram. We can click edit here to go into a web-based version of MeasureSquare 8. Not good for estimators, but maybe if somebody like Tom or a salesperson has to hop in and make a quick edit, you can do that from in the browser. But for the purposes of the demo, I think it's best now to just create a bid. So from here, I'll click add bid on the right. And that is going to essentially prompt the system to bring in all the products from my takeoff. You could see this is actually phased out. So depending on how however you estimate the project is how it will be displayed on the bid. So you can estimate just as a project, as one lump sum. You can phase it out. You can do it by trade, by floor, right? A lot of different ways to do this, by room. This is a good example by phase, and we can even go one level deeper than that and group it up by trade as well. Perfect. All right, let's. I'm just going to turn off the phasing here to get something a little closer to what you guys would be used to. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so we'll break this out by trade. These trades could be a little bit messy from what I saw, but I think it'll be fairly close to what you guys are used to. So if we group products by trade here, something like this, not too bad. But at this stage, you can choose to exclude certain aspects of this if you have a certain trade you want to put on a separate bid or something like that. But really, I just click OK here to get to the bid worksheet. It's going to bring in all your customer and project information automatically, right? One of the main functions of the CRM is that it eliminates double entry. So if you enter something, you're not going to have to enter that again. So you enter your customer once in the project, it's going to pull that onto all of your documents. This brings us onto the bid worksheet. And there's a lot going on here. So you can see up top, we have all of our columns. So our columns are configurable, right? These are customized where you can add columns, you can remove columns, you can build in columns with formulas. So the idea here is we can match whatever worksheet arithmetic you're used to. In addition, we have our whole product structure. We have a folder structure. So within each product, we have our add-ons, and then we have our folders totaled out at the top. So here's my carpet for $17,000. That's the total cost with each of the line items and their add-ons totaled out underneath. You can edit anything that's blue, just a couple of black items here that we can't click in and edit because they're based on some of the other columns. And if we scroll down a little bit, a lot of different ways to play with our numbers. We can adjust the margin or markup of the bid as a whole. We can go in and adjust the markup of just materials or just labor. We can go into individual line items, of course, and say, okay, we have a little extra breathing room on this one. Let's add an extra 10%. Essentially, if I click up here, I can update my markup for all rows. So that's going to get as close to 50% as it can for every single item. That's kind of the top level bulk. And then if you just want to go materials or labor, then we come down here and change it that way. It's almost a separate discussion, but I could set up a job for you guys with a bunch of labor figured in hours or days, and that could help close the gaps. But really, it would be essentially the same as this, but the quantity would be in hours or days, and we have some time tracking modules behind that to track that, once you get on site. But in terms of the bid, it would just be based off of your square yards or square footage per hour rate that you use to give you the quantity. That's mostly the bid worksheet. A little bit more going on here. If we scroll down, we have overheads, discounts. I don't know if you guys deal with use tax scenarios. We have ways to account for that. So, and then, custom fees, a lot more ways to play with our numbers. We also have a full alternate system built in here, right? You can have 10 alternates where your customer can, cherry pick them, approve 3 of them, and have the totals from those 3 added to the bid total. And from here, there's a lot more we can do with the bid. We're kind of working out of 4 tabs at the top in this bid module here. So that was the worksheet. We also have the alternates. You know what? Let's put a couple of alternates in here just so you could kind of see how those will be displayed. Put an alternate here for the second floor with the product. And then we can add an alternate here for the third floor. Look at this alternate here. So an alternate is just another worksheet. And then this is it. This is all my alternate worksheets, and there could be 100 of these listed. Really nice to come in and manage and approve, decline, duplicate, right? Very, very easy to manage these jobs with tons of alternates. Next tab, customer and document info. This is a quick one, just putting bells and whistles on your bid. So if I want to add any site photos, extra files, I can put 3D diagrams, wall elevations, right? Any of that stuff you'd typically want on there. This part's pretty cool. The inclusions and exclusions are based on a library. So I have these 5 exclusions appearing here because those are my defaults. And then if I want to add anything else, I click into my library and say, okay, you know what? We're going to exclude Ramboard on this one. Let's add that and any other exclusions from the library. So nice little time-saving tools. This stuff adds up. It is pretty nifty. Terms and conditions, a couple more notes fields. All this stuff is kind of optional, right? Once you get to the bid, you can choose how to use all this information, where to put it if you even want it to be on your bid, right? So nothing's really mandatory here. Okay. So that kind of brings us to the last tab, which is the bid preview. And this is kind of the shiny part. So what we're looking at here is our default bid template. And I say that because this is a very, very customizable bid system. There's HTML code behind it for anyone who's techie. We can code this from the ground up. We customize proposals for our customers all the time. But this is our default proposal here. In this case, we have a lot of details showing. So all I did was click design, and this is where we can actually modify what this bid's going to look like. So we come down here, and yes, those trade groups are totaled out. I have my carpet there at $26,000. We have all of our add-ons. Those prices are not rolled up. We're showing descriptions, but we could change any of this stuff. So using these sliders on the right-hand side, we can modify whatever we want. We can make this bid look however we'd like. So let's see. Let's tackle that one that you mentioned first. I don't know if that was Anthony or Matt, but we can merge add-ons right at the top. You click that, those add-ons are going to hide, and those totals will be merged up into their parent products. From here, we could, maybe remove those descriptions. We can show any level of detail, right? We can hide that quantity, sales price. If you just want them to have those trade totals, you can even drill it down from there. You could say, just give me the groups, and you can even just give them a lump sum if you'd like. I can hide those amounts altogether. Let's show a little bit more than this for our purposes. Yeah, I like that. So getting into a higher level view of the bid, we have our base bid here with all of our trade groups listed out. Scrolling down, we have our proposed alternates, alternate number 1, alternate number 2. And there's a lot of modification we can do with how these are displayed. Scrolling down a little more, we have our default number summary. This is broken out into materials, labor. We have taxes and our custom fees. But again, we can play with all this stuff. We don't have to give them the material labor breakdown. I can include taxes in my total if I'd like. These other fees in this case I can't hide, but there's other stuff we can do there. Proposed alternates, it will list separately, and it explicitly says alternates not included in your grand total. From there, we got our diagrams and everything else that we programmed on that last screen, our inclusions, exclusions, terms and conditions, and a signature line. Okay, just to give you guys an example, this is our default bid template, right? This is the default. So we help customize documents. We could help you guys make something else if you don't like how this looks, right? You can really make this out to be whatever you need it to be. So I'll click Save Design here once this looks to my liking. Okay, we want something like that. Looks great. I can click Save Design, and this is all template based, right? So you can set this exactly the way that you need it, and then we're going to go ahead and save that as the default template so no one ever has to touch it again, unless you run into some crazy scenario where you have another template built for that. This bid looks good. We want to send this out. You'll see this is marked as a draft right now in the top left. So that's the status of the document. And in the CRM, your statuses are tracked for you automatically. So right now, this is a draft. If we go to the top right, we can email this out to the customer. And once I click email, it's going to pull that customer's email in there for me, right? We're eliminating double entry here. It's going to put this email together for us. And this is also based on it. All this stuff is based on templates. We can make this outgoing bid email look however you'd like. This is our default here, which allows the customer a button to view their bid. I'll send this over to myself so we could take a look at that side of it. And I'll also check this box so you can optionally attach a bid PDF. All right, so your customer receives this email here. If I scroll down, we're going to have our PDF bid attached. Looks pretty good, right? This is just our default template, but it looks pretty dang slick once it's printed out. But like you said, we have that button. So this is definitely the preferred option. If this works for you, you make your customer click that button and they get to a web-based version where they can still download a PDF. Back in the CRM, now we know that bid has been viewed. If I refresh here, it'll actually tell us when it was viewed. So I know union jobs are on these crazy timelines. This is pretty big. When it's viewed, you can see that. Essentially, someone on your team would end up, once you get the job, someone on your team would manually end up marking this as approved. And then that's what tells the system, oh, this is a real job now, right? This 63 grand right here, this is revenue. Let's start reporting on that. Right now, all these wheels start turning in the CRM where you're reporting on the jobs that you won that month. Here's my total for this job under my project. So the approval status in particular is a benchmark that says this is a real project. But that's essentially that's pretty much the bidding process. And there's really a lot more here.